Hey, what's up? It's DeadEndRoad Show, episode 79. I'm hanging out here. It's Bill on an Easter Sunday, which is when I'm recording, because boy, has it been a week. My God, has it been a week. But got to stick to the schedule here and get this episode out. And so we're hanging out. I got some fun stuff here. This is going to be a much more relaxed episode than last time's gargantuan Final Fantasy 14 rant. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to start off with a quick little dead wrong here.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up.
So last episode, I called episode 78, episode 79, because the schedule got all fucked up, and so I can't count, and the numbers were wrong. So I apologize for any confusion if you were listening to an episode titled episode 78 and you have my dipshit ass continuously saying episode 79. So you have not entered a time loop. This is in fact the correct episode 79. I'm sure you were all very, very confused by that. Because definitely, let me tell you, it was confusing for the folders on my computer. Holy shit. So, but I do have to say I made absolutely no errors in the Final Fantasy 14 rant because I was correct in a technical and a moral sense. So no errors there to be reported. Let's move into a Dating is Dead, which we haven't done for a long time. This is also probably Mountains of Madness, so I'll just play that as well. If I can find that fucking button.
Mountains of Madness.
Sure, because I don't have one for the Dating is Dead, I just realized, and so I'd have to make that. Put it on the to-do list. So this is the part of the show where we talk about how fucking bonkers internet dating culture is nowadays. And so lately I tried a different app because, as we previously discussed on some episodes a very long time ago, we discovered that the main dating apps, they are all owned by the same company. It's like eHarmony Tech or whatever their whole corporate conglomerate is called. So they own Tinder, OkCupid, Bumble, all the main ones, Hinge, all the main players. And so they've all kind of just morphed into, you know, the swiping game where you swipe people. We've discussed how I find that to be a bit of an issue. It's like going through a catalog of people. It's like shopping for a car or a new sofa, and you're just like looking for tiny little defects that people have. It's rough out there. And so I heard about this other app called Coffee Meets Bagel, and it's a terrible name for a dating app. It's a terrible name for anything, I think. But they are not owned as of now. Who knows what happens, because it seems like they all just get purchased by this conglomerate in the end. But for now, they are their own sort of siloed application. And the difference here is that they're like, oh yeah, we don't do swiping, which is kind of bullshit. It's technically not swiping, but it's sort of the same action where you're either saying yes or no to a person. It's just not the actual swiping motion. So it's basically the same thing, you know. But their whole gimmick is that we'll send you a selection of people every day, and then that's what you get each day. And so it does kind of alleviate like the sort of like TikTok brain of where you're constantly scrolling through a list of people, and it just keeps going on and on and on. And it's like you keep going because you're like, oh, well, what if I find somebody slightly more appealing or better or whatever kind of gross adjectives you could apply to human beings, I guess. And so I guess this is one potential solution, is that like, oh, we'll send you like, I don't know what the number is. It's like 10 or maybe a dozen people a day, and you can decide if you would like to. It's the same thing though, but like it's like you're still saying yes or no if you like a person. So it's like it all boils down to the same kind of thing, doesn't it? So I've been trying that out, and I can't tell if it's, and I got to be careful here. I always got to be careful, but I got to be careful here. I can't tell if it's the area that I'm in or if it's like something that I missed in the marketing of the app or something. But I see about 95 to 98% Asian people, like Asian and then South Asian people. And that isn't necessarily like obviously not a bad thing, right? You know, it's, you know, whatever. But like, again, it could be the area I'm in, right? Outside New York City, you know. And also there is like, I live in an area where there is a bit of a South Asian population in like a county or two over, you know. So like again, that could be part of it, but like it's a very high concentration that I am getting in the I don't know what I guess they call them bagels, which is really odd, but you know, to refer to people as anytime you refer to people as something other than people, I get skeeved out. But so you get your selections every day. And for me, it's about, again, 95 to 98% Asian and South Asian people. And it's like, okay, fine. But then I'm just kind of worried that like I am using an app that is like geared towards, you know, Asian people looking for Asian people. And I'm just sort of like infiltrating, you know, the club. And I should, it's a place where I'm really not supposed to be. So I feel a little uncomfortable for that. And it's also like, if that is the actual like marketed client base for this app, you know, because there's like I don't know if these are still in business. You know, there was like commercials like, I don't know, 15 years ago for Black People Meet and, you know, like things like that, like the apps geared towards specific demographics. And so I'm just like, am I not supposed to be here? You know, did I miss something in the marketing of the application or what? Like, I don't know. It's a little odd. And then on the other side of it, it's like, oh, here's this white boy, you know, it's like, is this just another white guy with an Asian fetish? Like this is just me being so hyper self-conscious and like self-aware to a painful degree. I'm just like, oh yeah, I shouldn't be here. Like this is what I'm going to be perceived as using this app just because of what I am experiencing. And it just could be because of the area that I live in. Like there's just a high concentration of, you know, Asian and South Asian people. So it's like, yeah, that's just what's in your area, dipshit. So it's like, yeah, that's what you're going to find. It's like, oh, okay. You know, like the simplest solution is, of course, always like the most relevant one. But in my head, I'm like, nope, shouldn't be here. Like, this isn't for me. Like, I'm just barging in. So that's what's been going on there. It you know, it's kind of similar to all the other ones. It's, I guess, closer to like Hinge, where it gives you some specific questions that you answer, and that becomes your profile rather than you like trying to fill out an about me of just like general, you know, likes and dislikes. But I'm already running into situations where it's like, I don't think I know enough about people to make a judgment on whether we will be compatible, just in terms of like, what am I going to talk to you about? I need to know some kind of like level of like basic interests, right? You know, I need something to go off of so I can make conversation, because I'm just terrible at it. But that's a wholly separate issue. But yeah, that's what's been going on. Dating apps. It's weird out there. It's weird. Yeah, so I will continue to use it. Maybe it's just like a glitch in the algorithm as well, where it's like I liked one Asian person, and so they're like, oh yeah, okay, so that's your thing, huh? And so then now that's just all it is. That's just the experience of the app. But who knows? Maybe it'll be refined as I use it for a quite extended period of time. And again, it's like, it's not an issue. I just found it, it wasn't what I was expecting. I just thought it was like a general dating app. And it still could be. I could just be a colossal idiot. Just the biggest moron. Anyway, that's Dating is Dead for this time. Let's do a quick artificial insanity. That's still too funky. I got to edit that one. That one's too funky for me. So I saw this on my feed, and I saw that Italy has banned ChatGPT. And this is quite interesting because we previously discussed Italy cracking down on AI whenever they cracked down on the Replica AI chatbot erotic roleplay service, I suppose, because there was no restrictions placed on children using the app, and also like data collection. They were collecting data on children. They were basically not adhering to like GDPR. So, and I believe something similar is going on here. And so the Italian Data Protection Authority gave OpenAI 20 days as of April 3rd to address their concerns, and they blocked it because of, again, privacy concerns. Apparently, Italy isn't convinced that the OpenAI and ChatGPT complies with the GDPR, and they say that it's unlawfully processing user data. So, and I didn't even know this. There was a data breach that ChatGPT suffered in the last month, and leaked conversation history with user data and payment information. I feel like that should have been bigger news because I missed that completely. I had no idea that occurred. And there's a quote here from the Italian authority. There appears to be no legal basis underpinning the massive collection and processing of personal data in order to, quote, train the algorithms on which the platform relies. Yeah, it's fucking true. And they're also, again, concerned about the inability to detect the age of the users and prevent minors from using it. And apparently Google's Bard AI is available only to users over 18. But it's, again, like, are they actually enforcing that through like a locked in Google account? And it's like, well, we know how Google processes user data, right? They fucking have everything. So I would not trust a Google branded AI chatbot just because they block minors from using it. But it is just one point of differentiation, I suppose. And as of the 9th, I have not seen any update and response from OpenAI and ChatGPT. So, yeah, it's interesting to see like Italy be the spearhead of privacy protections over AI. They took a stance even for something as, I guess, relatively obscure as the replica AI, you know, and then going after something as huge as OpenAI. So it's good to see because, yeah, we don't know what kind of actual mass, like, we know it's going to be a massive data collection. We just don't know how much and how it's processing that data. And like, we know that they're just feeding these AI like any sort of information it can get its hands on. We saw this with the Apple and Spotify just taking voice actor data, you know, without any sort of just sneaking a clause in there. We're seeing it all over. So it's not surprising that ChatGPT would just take everything, you know, and like leave nothing but the crumbs behind in terms of data. So. And that's going to be Artificial Insanity for this week. Let's visit the Moogle. Awesome. Now, I want to talk about there's some Persona news going on. And so, you know, I can't skip that. Now, there is a Persona 5 mobile spinoff that was announced in the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to be pulling some information from Persona Central, one of my favorite sites. And this was originally announced on March the 16th. And so it's a Chinese developed mobile game focusing on the Asian market, but it's officially licensed by Sega with involvement from Atlas. It's a free to play mobile game set to release in China for Android, iOS, and also PC, which is interesting. And it's called Persona 5: The Phantom X, and it's referred to as P5X. And we knew that there was some kind of project or game using P5X based off of trademarks and trademark renewals. And there was some leaks of a Chinese game that looked like it was ripping off Persona, and nobody quite knew what it was. And that was about maybe a year or 2 years ago. And it was written off as just like a Chinese, you know, IP theft ripoff. It turns out that was actually early work on an officially licensed Persona game. And I got a lot of problems with this. I have a lot of problems with this, mostly because of the well, one, it's a gacha game, and gacha games suck. I hate them. And it's a mobile game. The nice thing is that it's on PC. The other thing is that we have no idea if it will be coming to the West. They're focusing on the Asian markets. It was actually not quite clear at the original announcement whether this would even be coming to Japan. Which is kind of silly when you think about it, because the trailers that dropped for it had Japanese subtitles and Japanese voice acting. So it's like, how would this not be coming to Japan? But at the same time, there was no official word on whether it was going to be released in Japan. It was only focusing on the Chinese market. And so we originally knew this game as Codename X, and it looked like a ripoff game. Like it was trying to be Persona 5. It didn't have the same branding, or like the color scheme was just slightly off, and so everybody was convinced that, oh, this is a mobile game, and at the very minimum, maybe there would be some kind of Persona 5 tie-in, which Atlas loves to do tie-ins with mobile games with Persona 5. Like they'll just throw Joker as a gacha in whatever random mobile game they're being they're partnering with on a given month. Really, they're all over the place. So it just seemed like that was the case until this sort of came out of nowhere. And they're billing it as a sequel to Persona 5, because of course they are. And the issues for me start off with the fact that it just looks like the fact that it's fully officially branded. They're using the UI from Persona 5 now. They have all the stylistic elements of Persona 5. It still just looks like, Mom, can I have Persona 5? Oh, we have Persona 5 at home. And this is the Persona 5 at home. Like it looks busted, and not in a good way. Like there's just something off about it. And it might be the fact that it's like retooled from a game that wasn't going to be an official Persona game, and then suddenly became one when they got access to official Persona assets. Like they're now just like going through the same areas as in Persona 5, but with a cast you don't know, and they kind of replace the original cast. Like it's just knockoff. It looks cheap, while at the same time utilizing the official assets of Persona 5. Yeah, like everything from just sort of shoehorning in a mascot character that looks exactly like the owl from Soul Hackers, by the way, which also just shoehorned in a mascot character. I don't know. It doesn't sit right. Like all of the characters kind of look the same to each other, and their personas are just sort of like versions of themselves. Even the Velvet Attendant is just sort of like, this is my OC, It just doesn't sit right. Like I know I keep saying that, but it just doesn't. Something's bad. And so we know it's a gacha game. We don't know exactly how the gacha will work, other than the fact that the weapons dealer from P5 is there, and he's sort of like one of the gacha vectors for like opening weapon cases in some way. So like weapons will be gacha. So there was a beta. The beta was in Chinese, and people were still able to get their hands on it outside of China. And so there was like feedback from the beta, and they addressed some of that. So the plot, and again, this is from Persona Central. Player feedback on the plot included abrupt developments, fast pacing, and weak characterization, among other things. The producer acknowledges that these are significant problems with the current script. Additionally, many key plot points are currently reflected in the game's 2D and 3D animations, most of which are still in development and therefore are not fully presented to players in the, quote, infiltration test, resulting in the plot feeling fragmented. Atlas's Kazuhisa Wada and the original development team attached a lot of importance to the game's script, and with their supervision, they hope to provide players with a more exciting narrative. Okay, so the game is, like, this game's story is janky, but, like, why is that surprising? It's a fucking mobile game, and it's just sort of, like, following the beats of P5. And this is the issue that I have with even P5 Strikers, which also billed itself as a sequel to the original game, when it's just sort of rehashing Persona 5 again, And, like, I get that it's a spinoff, and I get that it's not really important, but, like, it's just kind of lame to just sort of redo the same game again, but, like, a hollow version of it. And, like, obviously this is just a mobile game, but it just feels really soulless. Oh, and also, so they left in a ton of data that was unencrypted, and so people data mined the hell out of this beta and pulled a ton of shit out. Like the fact that, like, they pulled out, like, that we know that there's gacha in terms of the weapons dealer and all kinds of other, like, art bits and unused files. And so it's like, okay, like, why did you, that's your own damn fault for leaving in unencrypted assets that had nothing to do with the beta. People are going to pour the hell over this because we don't know what the fuck it is. So, yeah, but it's just like Codename X was just like this generic thing. And there was like references to P5 in the website and everything. But all that data was removed from the website whenever they originally announced Codename X. And the character, like, was wearing a mask like a phantom thief, but had a completely different design. Like, they were blue instead of black and red and everything else. And so they said that it was a mobile game based on the Persona series. It was just very confusing, and it's still confusing. Like even though the fact that this is like an officially licensed game, it's still confusing. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like a soulless version. Like some of the art is nice, but again, it's just like it's like a bootleg version. Like it's not Joker. It's just this other guy, right? It's not Morgana. It's now an owl. Just because we have to have a mascot character. I don't know. Like it's not Yusuke. It's this other guy with bluish black hair. Oh, here is the blue guy. I guess this guy was originally going to be the protagonist because he was in the art for the for Codename X before it was Persona 5 X. But yeah, it's like, and it's going to be gacha. So like it doesn't matter. So like you're going to be able to roll for Joker. You're going to be able to roll for you're going to be able to roll for Morgana. Like, I don't know. If I seem very pessimistic about this, it's because I fucking am. It's like they show a shadow version of like one of these antagonists, and like he's just purple for some reason, just because one of the shadow versions of a character in Persona 5 was purple, but he was purple for reasons because he was like gluttonous, like it fit the aesthetic, and this guy is just like purple wearing a baseball hat. Like it's just like, okay. And then it's like, oh yeah, there's like the boss version of Kamoshida just there, so you just fight him for some reason. Like, yeah, I mean, like Persona 5 is on everything now. Like there's kind of no excuse to not be able to play it. I guess if you literally don't have any kind of console or a PC. So if you only have a phone, it's like, okay, fine, you can now finally play Persona 5, but just like this broke ass version. It's just, and like some of the art is okay, some of it's good, and I think it's because they actually got Soejima to do some of the art. And like, the demon design is like, yeah, that's just the demon design from P5. So of course it's going to look good. I don't know. And again, like this is so inconsequential. Like this doesn't take away from the development of P6. This is a Chinese studio that's developing this. It just sort of like dilutes everything though. Yeah, it's just I just don't like it. It kind of just boils down to that. I don't like it. Ugh. But then I saw this just today, actually. So there was going to be today an announcement for a live stream for the Persona Super Live 2022 Blu-ray and CD. And they teased some exciting news, which is always just getting you ready for disappointment when it comes to Persona and Atlas. And so everybody's like, oh, okay, are they going to do P6? No, of course they're not going to announce P6 on a random Sunday. On an Easter Sunday with no build-up or promotion for it. Why would they do that? Why would they ever do that? Like, but and then everybody's like, oh yeah, well, how about the P3 remake? No, same thing. Why would they do that on a random Sunday for the Persona Super Live 2022 Blu-ray and CD live stream? Why would that be the venue to announce like their next major game? Just pea brains in the fan base. And of course, the announcement was new merch, new Japan exclusive merch. It looks like some keychains or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So there you go. That was this exciting announcement. But what's actually more exciting is that there's an odd leak that came about in the comments of the Super Live sort of news. And it is a short video, 5 seconds long, no audio, of a quite updated model of Yukari from Persona 3 and her persona, which I forget the name of, even though I'm currently playing that game, attacking an enemy in a very flashy animation that appears to be either a version of like a Showtime skill from Persona 5 or like a critical hit animation where she shoots a bow at, I think, a Garuda enemy, that looks like. And so we've never seen this model before. People have looked. It is not the same as the Yukari Persona 3 dancing model. It looks as if she's in the P5 engine. And it's too well done for it to be a mod. The way the camera angles change, the sort of particle effects around her, the persona model for sure. Like if somebody could, like people can import models from like Persona dancing and put them into games, but not with the level of like creating in-engine cutscenes with this level of detail. So the large question is, what the fuck is this and where did it come from? What is it and where did it come from? It looks as if it's from some kind of like sizzle trailer. And my cynic mind immediately thought, well, this has got to be for the gacha game, right? She looks to be in an area reminiscent, like it could, if you squint, it could be an updated Tartarus, but it's like this could just as easily be a kind of P5 dungeon. There's nothing that immediately sticks out to me as I watch this 5-second clip on a loop over and over and over again that sticks out to me that could be Tartarus. So the cynic in me immediately says this is from the gacha game. You can get Yukari in a gacha pull, and this is one of her attacks. But the UI, like she's doing damage, the UI does not match. It does not quite match Persona 5. It's not stylized, but it matches the color scheme where the health bar on the enemy is that teal blue from Persona 5, but it's not like the heart damage, the heart health bar from Persona 5. And the damage numbers aren't really stylized. They're like basically like an Arial font. So it's like, okay, well, it could just be in development, right? So part of me really believes that this is just from the gacha. On the other hand, I think it's too high quality. I think it's too high quality for the gacha, and I think it's too high quality. It's definitely too high quality for a mod. If it's somebody's mod, this would be all that they've been working on. And even so, Persona 5, because this has to be a Persona 5 mod, just came to PC in January? No, in the fall. So it would have to be all they're working on, and this is literally all they've got for the mod. And even then, why would the damage numbers be, and why would the health be so different if it's a P5 mod? Okay, so this is interesting. So the person that posted this, update, special thanks to anonymous user DM for this. So it seems this was part of footage from Sega Japan's internal meeting held in 2021. The Japanese characters on top reads footage in development. Oh, and there's music this time. Okay, there's Sonic Frontiers. Okay, and Jet Set Radio. Is that P3 music? It's 5 seconds, like... And the fade in is weird. It doesn't start until like 2 seconds into the... So that's apparently unseen Sonic Frontiers footage. Sorry, I'm like finding out more information live here. Okay, there's a shot of Earth from space, and that's apparently from... Oops, this is the wrong video. Hold on. There's Sonic. Jet Set Radio. And then at the end, there's like a flash of Earth from space before the video cuts out. And that's apparently from Super Monkey Ball, which was announced last year or came out last year. Announced in 2021. Okay. Seems like people care more about Jet Set Radio than Persona 3. Oh, this guy fixed the audio desync. Hold on. It doesn't matter that much. Okay, so I talked previously about how there were big rumors of a full-on Persona 3 remake. And when I discussed them, I said that it didn't make sense for them to release the ports of Persona 3 Portable and then to say, hey, we're remaking the game that we just released. But I still believe that. But the same reasons why I said it didn't make sense to remake Persona 3 actually apply as reasons for why they could remake Persona 3. And I'm not trying to play both sides here because I generally didn't think that they would attempt to remake Persona 3 at all, ever. Like I just didn't think that they would go through the development of from the ground up remaking that game, even if this does appear to be in P5's engine, because just because of the like that's just a whole brand new game. I just figured they would focus on 6 instead. But so let's say that this is real, right? And they've been developing Persona 3 remake for at least 2 years now, if this is footage from a meeting from 2021, right? Let's say this is the earliest work that they have that they're showing off internally. So let's say 2 years, right? And it got greenlit, internally, whatever. And so they're going ahead and they're remaking Persona 3. But in the meantime, right, they're releasing ports of Persona 5 Royal and Persona 4 Golden. You're immediately going to have fans saying, well, where the fuck is Persona 3? Where the fuck is Persona 3? Either portable or FES or whatever. And so you've got to port Persona 3 as well. And what you're going to do is you're going to port the newer version. You're going to port Persona 3 portable because that's the version with the female protagonist that you're using in marketing. That was in Persona Q2. It's the version that it's the most recent version. I would imagine porting from the PSP would be easier to PC and newer platforms than the PS2 original game that never saw any sort of HD uplift like Persona 4 Golden already did. So the port that would take the least amount of work, in my eyes, again, not being a developer, would have been Persona 3 Portable. And it also makes sense that that port had the least amount of work done to it if in the background you're already remaking the full game, probably with FES, which means it includes the journey, which is the original game. It includes the answer, which is the epilogue to the game. And it also includes content from Persona 3 Portable, which means the female protagonist, the additional social links, battle enhancements. I mean, this looks like a completely different, I wouldn't say completely different battle system, but an updated battle system. The reason why I think that this is either a Showtime ability or a critical hit animation is because in the original Persona 3, characters either attack with their physical ability, which is attacking with their weapon, or they attack with their persona. And here it appears that Yukari is attacking with her bow, but she has her persona behind her casting something. So that leads me to believe it's either some kind of Showtime ability or, whatever, or a crit, because in Persona 3, you get a different camera angle and animation whenever you have a critical hit. And again, if this is real, it would be super early ass footage, right? Which would explain why the damage numbers are like just fucking Arial font and in the color scheme of Persona 5 because it's in P5 engine. So you release Persona 3 Portable for modern platforms with a bare minimum of work done to it. You may or may not have used an AI upscaler on some of the assets. You outsourced it to a third party with supervision from P Studio. You don't add any quality of life tweaks like manual skill inheritance like you added for the SMT Nocturne HD remasters, which were patched in later on, but they were still added. You don't do that for Persona 3 Portable because it doesn't matter if you're already remaking the game. And so this is the way that Atlas can have their cake and eat it too, and also double dip a little bit. Persona 3 Portable was like, what, $30 when they released it? I can't even remember because I just fucking bought it because I'm a fucking sucker. I say that, but I wanted to play the game. I wanted to play Portable. But so this was to alleviate the fans saying, well, where the hell is 3 if you're porting 5 and 4 to all the platforms? Where the hell is 3? And without tipping your hand early to say, hey, we're remaking 3 because that's going to take forever, right? Even if this was I don't have any fucking timeline, but let's say it's greenlit in 2021, It's going to take fucking forever. It's a full new Persona game, basically. Like, these are new models. You can't even necessarily use Persona 5 Persona models either, or demon models, shadow models, whatever you want to call them, because they're all stylized for P5, unless they have, like, base models that they could. I don't know. So you put out the port for portable port, and in the background, you've got the remake up your sleeve. And so you also do that to alleviate, again, fan pressure for whenever you announce and release, eventually, this Persona 3 remake. Because there will be a contingent of bitchers, whiners, moaners, and complainers that will be upset with either the quality or changes or whatever that have been made to Persona 3 in a remake. Oh, now it's just like P5. Oh, they changed this. Oh, they changed that. Oh, this is missing. Oh, this isn't here. Whatever, because that'll happen. I see it in my mind's eye as clear as day. I see the tweets if Twitter is still around by the time that game releases. I can see them. I can see them in the replies to Atlas tweets. Why did you change this? Why did you do that? This voice actor isn't the same. This localization is terrible. All the same complaints about anything. So now at the same time, you can say, all right, you don't like the remake. Well, we already released Portable. Go back to Portable if you don't like the remake so much. We're not getting rid of the history. We put Portable on all the modern platforms. We didn't bury that game in favor of a remake. So if this is real, and again, I'm not saying it is. I have no way of knowing. I don't think anybody does. Because again, this could have been spliced in. Somebody found this could easily be edited. You can just plop on some Japanese, some kanji here that says development footage over top of some fucking Sonic gameplay. I don't know enough about Jet Set Radio to know whether that could be a fucking fan-made blender, whatever, or what. But you could splice this all together, Oops. You could easily do that. Sorry, I'm playing it again. There's not a Sega logo anywhere. And even if it was, it doesn't look like it's actually watermarked. This kanji up here is just on top of the video. You can do that in Premiere in 30 seconds. So, and these are just random people online saying, oh, this is Sonic Frontiers footage we've never seen. Okay. Sonic Frontiers footage is unused content that was in old concept art. I mean, okay, maybe. You can never get your hopes up with this kind of shit. Who knows? This could be from another spin-off Persona game they're developing rather than a Persona remake. This could be from, Persona Heroes, right? Another Muso game. We have no idea. We've got no idea. But again, if this is real and they are developing a remake of Persona 3, I think they played it right with the port of Persona 3 Portable. And if the remake happens, then we'll happily say that I was wrong. But the same reasons why it didn't really make sense for them to the timing was the real key here, because why would they immediately release 3 Portable and then turn around and say that game you just bought, we're remaking it? That would suck. So this is, again, going on the assumption, the huge assumption that it's real. It's got to be super fucking early. And a game as large as Persona 3 will take more than 2 years to develop. Quit auto-playing the Twitter videos so ass. Just burn this website. It will take more than 2 years to develop, even if it is in P5 engine, which again, on a cursory glance, this video at least looks like it is, just based on the model proportions, the battle effects, the shading. So that helps. So it could be a similar case of P3 and 4 using the same engine, using a lot of similar assets. But I mean, look how long that took, right? That took 2 years at the time on the PS2, and it will now be 4 years since Royal, or 3 years. I think it's 4 years. 4 years since Royal, and how many years since Phase 5? It was 2015 or 2016? I can't count, but that long to produce another Persona game in the same engine. Because again, I'm just going off of the assumption that if this is an internal sizzle reel, that this was used to greenlight the project. And so if this is right, that this was 2021, at the earliest, they would be maybe 2 years into development, maybe. So it's quite interesting. I was not prepared to see this at all, But yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes on it for sure. Okay, hi, this is Editor Bill coming in here. So, of course, as soon as I recorded, more steam picked up with the Persona 3 leak. And the story is basically, it spread like wildfire. Bigger outlets picked up on the story, which is not something that usually happens for Persona rumors or leaks. And so this feels like it's real. So Polygon picked it up, and their piece mentions reporting from Gamatsu, who says that a Persona 3 remake has been in development in Atlas for several years. Now, there was a rumor a while ago that I talked about previously that said that the game was being made and had been for a little bit, but it was the kind of story that was just there was nothing really backing it up, and it was only being reported on by very, very niche RPG sites. So to have larger sites sort of pick it up and to kind of almost say oh yeah, of course this is being remade and it has been for several years. What, you guys didn't know that? Is like, okay, all right, sure. So I just wanted to kind of slide in here and say that there is a lot more smoke coming off of this fire, and there are some other details that another rumor saying that the P studio has split, and half of them are working on the Persona 3 remake, and the other half are working on P6, which would make sense if, this is a real thing and they were going to continue both projects simultaneously. That would logistically make sense. Or if the whole studio would work on P3 and then move on to P6. But just from a standpoint of wanting to get new releases out there, that wouldn't, make a lot of sense. So again, that could just be like a very strong guess as to the logistics of the internal studio. There's not really any evidence supporting that. And of course, Atlas is keeping very quiet about all of this. But what also I find interesting is that Atlas has not, or Sega even, has not taken down or DMCA'd any of this leaked footage that has come out. And because it's sort of like a damned if they do, damned if they don't. Again, where if they DMCA it, it's like, oh, okay, it's fucking real, right? So the fact that they don't means it can just sort of percolate and spread this way. And, we all lose our minds over it. But the takes are coming in fast and furious. Twitter is a fucking hellscape. The Persona fan base is as dumb as ever. I can't stand reading what they type. It hurts my brain and my soul. But I just wanted to give a small update as I'm editing the episode because this seems like it's real, and that's something. But all right, I'm gonna get back to editing. And I think that's all I got for this week. Bit of an odd one, but I want to really try to stick to the schedule. And things have been a little hectic behind the scenes here. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. You don't need to follow me anywhere or whatever, but check out the Ko-fi page. Or I heard somebody pronounce it Ko-fi, which could be, but at the same time, like the whole thing is the buy me a coffee thing. So I thought it would be like Ko-fi, like coffee, but who knows? I've never really heard it out loud before that, so I don't know how you're supposed to say it. But check out the page if you want to toss a couple bucks that way, because I'd really like to remove the ads off of the main site, and that would be the main way of me being able to fund that, because as it stands, the website is just a money sink at the moment, especially with hosting large audio and video files. That just gets more and more expensive. But yeah, I appreciate you checking out the show. Check out the YouTube, full episodes, clips, all that stuff. You can follow the podcast anywhere. Give it a rating maybe on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can listen to the podcast and rate it. I really appreciate you doing that, and of course listening to the show. So I'll see you next time. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. All right, peace.